Alright, cool. We're gonna talk about his music a bit full on well. A very Merry Christmas to everyone watching. I hope you're having a beautiful day with some of your loved ones, or at least, if I'm able to spend time with them, you're at least feeling loved on this most magical of days. 2021 has, similarly to its predecessor, 2020, been a tough year for a lot of people. It's hard to really put into words the suffering that a lot of people have faced, the hardships a lot of people have faced. Some people have lost people they've cared about greatly. Some people have had to spend extended periods of time alone, and it's not something that we want for those we care about. It's not something that we want for people we don't even know, really. It's just not an ideal way that we want the world to be. But throughout all that difficulty and suffering, coming in and out of lockdown, dealing with those different levels of restrictions, I think despite all the negativity that has surrounded a lot of it, there has been some good to find in the midst of it. And I think it's important now, as the Prince, to provide you with my annual Christmas speech of things that I've learned over the last year that I think can help us going into 2022. So let me start with this. If there's one thing that I have certainly done the last year and a bit, is I have learned to bet on myself. I've pretty much always known that I was creative and had some sort of element of humour that I could use to make people like me, I guess. But I finally found a way to actually do that constructively, to structure that into like a significant portion of my life, something that I do on the reg, and I love it. It's genuinely made the past year probably more enjoyable than a lot of other years in a weird way, that I've actually had some sort of creative outlet, and that's something I always known I could do but was too afraid to do. So bet on yourself. If you know you've got something you can do, even if it's as dumb as what I do, which is just talking shit with my mates in quite a humorous way, do it. Find a way to do it. Find a way to take what you think you're good at and find out if you are, and make it part of your genuine regular routine. The other side of that is, another thing I've learned in the last year is that I have to know my limits. Now, this came up semi-recently where I took a whole week off of streaming because I just was too tired of work. And beforehand I used to just go to work in the office, come home, have like dinner and pretty much immediately stream to like near midnight, get to bed at like 1, get up at 5, get the bus to the office, walk then the half hour from the bus to the office, work, come home again, and like it just was no good. The body was just breaking down afterwards. I'm sure you can probably see by how red the skin on my face is, of how little sleep I do get, amongst other things. But there had to be a limit, right? And as much as I want that creative thing to be part of my regular life, I have to realise that I can't literally physically do everything I want to do. And that's good. It's important to look after yourself, because if you don't look after yourself, you don't have the ability to do other things. And the other things that are important, such as, another thing I've learned in the last year is to chase joy, which sounds probably like two just buzzwords put together, but I think the issue being that life is always going to be difficult and unfair at times, a lot of the time actually, and in the midst of that difficulty and that unfairness, we have to be the ones that work to retrieve joy. I mean, we have to chase it, to scrape the fun out of every orifice and crack that you can find. Orifice is a bad choice of words. You have to scrape the joy out of, like, you know, the very little bit of it that's left. Every time there's difficulty, you have to find some way of getting that big difficulty tile and wringing out the little bit of joy or fun out of it, you know. Again, which is what I've done with people on the internet. I haven't been able to see my real friends, and over the course of lockdown I've been able to make friends on the internet who I hope will be friends for life. And a lot of people probably think that's crazy, to have friends that you've never actually met, but once you have the ability to spend time and have real conversations with people, not just messaging like a big message board, you get to know people, whether face to face or not, and it's been a true joy and blessing of last year to have people by my side, figuratively, when they couldn't be there literally. And the last thing I think is most important, and this isn't something that thankfully I've had to deal with COVID at least, and that is to make sure that those who I love know that I love them before it was too late. I've not lost anyone close to me through COVID, directly at least. I know of people who have, and I've seen the difficulty it causes. But I think it's very important that when death is much more prevalent around us than normal, that you really do take the time to make sure the people who you do care about know it. Make sure that those who are loved know they're loved. There's something that I think everyone takes into question for themselves a lot, like am I cared about, am I loved, even for like a fleeting second. A lot of time, even when people tell you that you reject it, but like it's very important to tell people that you care about them. That's what I've learned the last year. So taking that into consideration, I love you, be good, have a Merry Christmas, and a blessed 2022 from the Prince. Peace up. A-Town down. Goodbye.